Learn C. Ephesians 4:15. But speaking the truth in love.
But is the first word, so a B is placed by the Ephesians church, with people made on a 4 for chapter 4, with voice lines coming from their mouths to represent God's people speaking. To remember, this verse begins with, but speaking. The truth is represented with the royal blue 1 for the 1 in verse 15, made into the 10 Commandments outside of the Ephesians church, to think that we should speak the truth to everyone in the world. In love is the top of the royal blue 5 for the 5 in verse 15, pointing down to the heart, like it is going in to the heart, made in the bottom of the 5. It is also drawn outside the church to think we should speak the truth in love to everyone in the world.
And it goes together like this. Ephesians 4:15. But speaking the truth in love. Ephesians 4:15. But speaking the truth in love. Ephesians 4:15. But speaking the truth in love. Ephesians 4:15. Next, Philippians 4:8. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things.
Whatsoever is the first word, so a W is placed by the things made out of the first 6 4s and royal blue 8s to represent things. And also things is written in the Philippians icon victory flag to think it is a sign, billboard, or marker flag on the land to indicate how to get the victory and get to heaven. To help you remember, the first words of this verse are, whatsoever things are. True is the 4 for chapter 4, made into the 10 Commandments in the middle of it, because the commandments are true. You can also think that the middle of the 4 makes a T shape for the T in true. Whatsoever things are honest. In the top words, you can think that the 3 words, whatsoever things are the 3 dots every time these 3 words are repeated in the verse for whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, and whatsoever things are of good report. And in the picture, you can think of the W beside all of these pictures and the Philippians icon victory flag to represent whatsoever things are. Honest is the royal blue 8 for verse 8, made into coins, to think that the money is being left there and nobody is stealing it. And we think of not stealing money as being honest. You can also think that the circle of the 8 money is making an O shape for the O in honest, because we do not say the H when we say honest, to think of the word honest. Whatsoever things are just is the W and the Philippians icon victory flag for whatsoever things are. And just is the judge's arm holding a gavel making a 4 shape for chapter 4 for just, because courts and judges, we think, are supposed to be just in their judgments. You can also think that the middle of the 4 makes a J shape for just. Whatsoever things are pure is the W and the Philippians icon victory flag again for whatsoever things are. And pure is the royal blue 8 for verse 8, made into 2 drops of water that are white inside with pure written in the middle, because we think of white as pure and clean, and we like to drink pure, clean water. You can also think that the 8 made into water drop circle shapes are like the circle shape in the letter P. To help you remember, the circle 8 water drop shapes R for pure. Whatsoever things are lovely is the W, and the Philippians icon victory flag for whatsoever things are. And lovely is the 4 made with a heart in the middle for love. You can also think that the left side of the 4 makes an L shape for the beginning L in lovely, and an L again for the ending L, and the whole 4 to make a Y shape for the Y at the end of lovely. So you can think the 4 can represent the beginning L and the ending LY for love all E. Whatsoever things are of good report is the W, and the Philippians icon victory flag again for whatsoever things are, and of good report is the royal blue 8 made into hands holding 2 sheets of paper with writing on it to represent a report. And for the report being good, check marks are made on the right to think of when someone gets something right or gets something done. We think of making a check beside it so we know it is good, well done, or accomplished. You can also think that the 8 makes circle O shapes for the circle shapes in the G, O's, and D in good, to think of good. And the check mark you can think is also making the sideways shape of an R for report. If there be any virtue, you can think of the B for B, and any virtue you can think of the woman dressed in white, because in Revelation 19 it says the white linen is the righteousness of the saints, and she is drawn sitting on the 4 with a Bible in her hand like she is trying to obey God, so that she will be a virtuous woman. You can also think that the left and bottom line of the 4 makes a V shape for virtue. If there be any praise, you can think of the B for B again, and any praise is the 8 made into 2 open mouths speaking with voice lines for them speaking praise to Jesus. You can think these 2 parts of the verse, if there be any, say the exact same thing. Written together like this is to help you to memorize this verse. You can also think that the 8 made into mouth circle shapes are like the circle shape in the letter P, to help you remember the circle 8 mouth shapes are for praise. Think on these things. Is the man sitting on the 4 made into a chair, with his hands under his chin and leaning over like he is thinking, with the royal blue 8 made above his head to think that they are thought bubbles for think? These 8 things over here you can think of for these, and the Philippians icon victory flag with things written in it again for things.
And it goes together like this. Philippians 4:8. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Philippians 4:8. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Philippians 4:8. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Philippians 4:8. Next, Colossians 3:2. Set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth.
Set is the first word, so an S is placed by the Colossians angel holding or setting this heart in heaven To remember this verse begins with set. Your affections is the heart made out of a 3 for chapter 3. On things above is the royal blue 2 for verse 2, drawn on the angel's wing, that you can think that Jesus sends angels to help us keep thinking on the things that are above in heaven. You can also think that the angel is above the earth below it. Naught is the gray diagonal line to make a naught sign. On things on earth is the next 3 for chapter 3, drawn with 2 houses, that you can think that houses are what we like and see a lot on the earth, to think of not setting your affections on the things on the earth. Also, the earth is drawn at the bottom of the royal blue 2 for verse 2, with an arrow that you can think is pointing to the things on the earth.
And it goes together like this. Colossians 3:2. Set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth. Colossians 3:2. Set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth. Colossians 3:2. Set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth. Colossians 3:2. Next, 1 Peter 1:22. See that ye love one another with a pure heart, fervently.
C is the first word, so an S is placed by the 1 Peter icon stone, made into an I for C, and that ye is the man made out of a 1 for ye. To remember, this verse begins with, see that ye. Love one another is the man holding a heart for love, and the royal blue 2 for the first 2 in verse 22, made into 2 men's faces for one another. With a pure heart fervently is another royal blue 2 for the second 2 in verse 22, made with a heart at the top that is white in the middle of it, and pure written in the middle, because we think of white to represent purity. The fire at the bottom of the royal blue 2 is made with a flame of fire, because we think of fire as intense heat or fervent heat for fervently.
And it goes together like this. 1 Peter 1:22. See that ye love one another with a pure heart, fervently. 1 Peter 1:22. See that ye love one another with a pure heart, fervently. 1 Peter 1:22. See that ye love one another with a pure heart, fervently. 1 Peter 1:22. Next, 1 John 4:16. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him.
God is the first word, so a G is placed by the 4, made into a throne, with a man sitting in it to represent God. Is love is the equal sign for is, and love is the 1 John icon heart. To remember, this verse begins with, God is love. And he that dwelleth in love is the man made out of a royal blue 1 for he, and the royal blue 6 with the arrow going down into the bottom of the 6 and with another royal blue man in the 6 represents dwelleth in, and the heart in the middle of it is for him dwelling in love. Dwelleth in God is the man that is also dwelling in the middle of the cloud for God on the royal blue 6 with the arrow for in God. And God in him is the cloud again for God, and the arrow of the 6 for in, and the man again for him. The math equation 4 times 4 equals 16 can also help you remember this verse is in 1 John 4:16.
And it goes together like this. 1 John 4:16. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. 1 John 4:16. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. 1 John 4:16. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. 1 John 4:16. Magnificent.